This is the second part of my tutorial on making a leather purse. In this video I want to show you how to make a lining and a stabilizer, how to make leather flowers and leaves for purse embellishment, how to sew the metal frame, and how to finish the purse. If you watched part 1 of this tutorial, you would have seen me cutting pattern pieces from leather, making piping and stitching all seams. This second part is the follow-up of the tutorial. Let's start with cutting lining and stabilizer pieces. If you would like to download my free PDF pattern of the purse, go to my blog hberry.com. I share the link right under this video. You have to be very careful with cutting the lining and the stabilizer. The foam stabilizer pieces have to be 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch smaller than the main purse pattern pieces. I cut stabilizer pieces without any seam allowances, and the lining has to be 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch smaller than the main pattern, with seam allowances this time. In this image, blue line is for the stabilizer, 1.5 centimeters smaller than the main purse pattern, and the red line is for the lining, 1 centimeter smaller than the main pattern. Also, cut 2 pieces of lining fabric for a pocket, 15 by 12 centimeters, or 6 by 4 3/4 of an inch, including seam allowances. I cut stabilizer for the purse without seam allowances, because I didn't want the seams to look bulky. I like to eliminate bulk completely, because I don't want my bag to look homemade. So I sewed these seams by hand. It was an easy way to reduce bulk and create a more professionally looking purse. For the purpose of this video tutorial, I used green thread, so you can see it clearer on the screen. But for your sewing, choose a white thread, of course, to match the color of the stabilizer. The foam stabilizer gives the lightweight and soft leather a little more body and shape. It's perfect for smaller bags like this. Insert it into the purse and glue it to the leather using the glue mixture we made in part 1 of this tutorial. And this is the image of the finished purse lining. But I didn't film it when I was making the purse. So for this tutorial I am going to use different fabric for the lining, because I want to show you all the necessary details. You see that the lining has a pocket, so let me show you how to sew the pocket. Pin pocket pieces right sides together and stitch them with straight stitch, leaving a small opening for turning. After stitching, trim corners and turn the pocket right side out. Make the corners look nice with this special point turner. Baste all sides of the pocket and close the seam opening. Press the pocket and pin it to the lining in place. Edge stitch side and lower edges of the pocket, stitching small triangles in upper corners. Stitch seams of the lining and insert the lining into the purse. Cut some top seams of the lining and stabilizer if they are not aligned with the leather seams. Sew all the top seams together by hand. This way it will be easier to insert the purse into the metal frame. I use special hand sewing needle for leather in this case. Now let's make leather flowers and leaves. I used paper pattern pieces of different sizes. The diameter of the biggest flower is about 8 centimeters or 3 inches, and the diameter of the smallest flower is around 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. Other flowers are somewhere in between. If you want to download the PDF pattern for the flowers, go to my blog. I shared a link under this video. I cut flowers and leaves with my sharp shears. But if you have a cutting machine like Brothers Scan and Cut, you can use it for cutting leather. It's much faster and nicer. I wanted to make the flowers curl. For this I had to fry the leather flowers on a hot skillet, without any oil of course. Leather is getting the curled form because of high temperature. Be careful, don't burn your fingers. Use tweezers to get hot leather from the skillet. Now let's give some texture to the leaves. Brush some glue mixture on the leaves and let them dry a little bit for a few minutes. Look in part 1 of this tutorial how to make the glue mixture and what glue to use. After they are almost dry, twist them and leave for a few minutes again. When you unfold the leaves, they will have some texture resembling real flower leaves. Make a stitch in the middle of each leaf. I use triple stitch of my sewing machine. Here you can see some flowers and leaves I made for the purse embellishment. To make a rose center, take one bead, around 1 cm in diameter, and cover it first with a 4 petals flower. To hide the bead completely, use glue. Then add one more small flower. Brush every flower with the glue mixture and let them to get dry. I didn't want them to be flat, so I used wood balls to give them the proper shape. Design your flower embellishment and attach flowers and leaves to the purse with the glue mixture. Sew flowers to the purse in the center by hand and add real pearls to the middle of small flowers. Now let's sew the metal frame to the purse. I didn't film how I put the silver metal frame to my purse, so to make this video I used another frame, golden one, which is very similar to the one I used before. The steps are exactly the same as with my silver frame. Take the frame and find the exact center on each side. It may not be so easy because the holes may not be placed exactly in the center. So for this, take a painter's tape and place small pieces of the tape on each side of the frame. Measure the frame and mark the centers with a pen. Use the tape also for securing the moving parts of the frame, so they don't bother you when you sew the frame to the purse. Use leather hand sewing needles. They are a little bit different than regular needles, and they sew leather very well. Thread the needle with a silver embroidery floss, so the threads are almost not visible on the silver frame. If your frame is a different color, then choose a matching thread or floss for your frame. Start sewing from the center to one side of the purse until you reach the frame's curve. Go back to the center and to the other side of the purse till the curve, and go back to the center again. Repeat the same procedure on the other side of the frame. Now your frame is attached to the purse, so it will be easier to sew sides. I decided to hide stitches visible on the inside of the purse with a small lace trim. I used the same glue mixture I had for the flowers. Now we have to attach a handle. I bought a necklace that was matching the purse colors and decided to make purse handles from it. I had to change the thread for the necklace, so it will not be broken after a few uses of the purse. I had to make it stronger. For this I used a plastic wire, a fishing line string, to make the handle unbreakable. To attach the handles I used so-called lobsters. They are well-polished clasps that are made from rust-resistant stainless steel. Now the purse is ready, and I really like how it turned out. The only problem I see now is the closing. This part of the metal frame makes some small marks on the leather, so if you plan to make a purse like this, buy a little bit different frame with different closure. Did you ever want to make a leather purse yourself? I always wanted, but I thought it will be too complicated. But it turned out nothing could be further from the truth. There I have it, my own leather purse, and you can make it too. If you like this video tutorial, subscribe to my channel. I plan to publish interesting sewing tutorials on YouTube and on my blog. I would be incredibly grateful if you share it on Facebook and Pinterest.